You're starting to sound like some Wes Carpenter flick or something.
Hello and welcome to the final podcast, the last podcast you will ever listen to on our 3-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah. Cheers to that. Your final bros are here. Brian Hopper, LaGrasta, and Shane. I take it all off at Wedding Smith. Joined today by my cousin Matt, and it is a celebration.
Yeah?
We are celebrating our 3rd year. Our 3 whole years of just talking horror movies, just talking some good old-fashioned horror flicks.
From humble beginnings, 2 guys huddled around one microphone in your bedroom, to having 2 microphones, to having a studio, everything. We've been through it all.
It's a fact. We've been through it all, but it's been a fun ride.
It has.
And we're going to keep it turning because we have, we're not only reviewing an absolute spectacle.
Yes.
Today, but we are going to have a litany of amazing movies coming up.
Yes. So we're doing Scream. Very appropriate to start a new series for the 3rd year anniversary. It's one of the more consistent series throughout. Like, all the movies that have come out have been pretty good. So I think it's a good way to honor our 3rd year anniversary. And like Brian said, after this, we get hot.
Oh, it does get. It's very hot.
Yeah.
Very sexual.
And of course, you have to have a guest on the 3-year anniversary.
Of course, Matt. We're happy to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.
I know we praise like Texas Chainsaw, we praise Halloween series, we praise Friday the 13th. There's something special about Scream that I really like all of the movies. Like, even like Texas Chainsaw, we say, is the best of all of the originals.
Yes.
But the series is very lackluster.
Definitely the worst series. I mean, people really do rag on Nightmare on Elm Street for some reason.
Well, I think the first 3 Nightmares are good, and then it gets very bad as well.
Yeah, there's a joke made in one of the more recent movies I've watched. Probably one of the ones coming up, where they just like the only good one was the first one.
Yeah. That's why I like Scream. I could say Scream 1 and 2, great movies. Scream 3, a little iffy.
It has a good charm to it.
Yes. 3, you're saying?
I feel like at least the first and second one.
Yes.
Sure.
I love the 4th one.
Me too. And I love the 5th one. I haven't seen the 6th one yet, but the 5th one was really good.
Yeah, it's a good consistent series for sure. Like, I think that some of the other ones, I think Jason is like Freddy, I can't really vouch for. I haven't seen past the 3rd movie.
Which is, I think, where it starts to go downhill after the 3rd.
The Jason movies, I love all of them.
Yeah.
All the Fridays. And Halloween, I mean, for the most part, I like them. Even some of the newer, I mean, you get, like, Halloween Resurrection's an absolute shit show, but I like H2O.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Halloween is, like, good for a little bit, but then when you get to, like, Halloween 6 and H2O, not H2O, Halloween 6 and Resurrection, they're so bad.
They're bad, yeah.
And then the Rob Zombie ones are terrible.
And they didn't do themselves a favor because the new ones that they did, only the first one's good. Like, the other ones are not.
The second one's okay.
It's okay. It's just, it becomes like a witch hunt for Michael. It just like, and the 3rd one
is so. I actually hate the 3rd one.
It might be like one of the biggest flops of a movie in a long time. It was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. But yeah, so Scream is great, and it's different because, I mean, I love all of the characters, and the casting is absolutely incredible. Even in ancillary roles, it's incredible.
I completely agree. Like, everyone, I know. See, there's certain actors in this movie. I don't know if they're purposely doing bad to make it even funnier, or if like
spill it. Who? Matthew Lillard?
Yeah.
No, like, that's just how he is.
He is, right? Because I love him in this movie, but it's almost so over the top.
Well, they definitely wrote in the script like that he was like, I guess, from bleeding out at the end.
It's so funny. It's so good.
But it was just like he was like channeling his inner Aaron Carter after Huff.
Just like he's like, I'm feeling a little woozy over here. It's like, it's so
Insanity.
Good. It's so good. Even who plays Billy?
Skeet Ulrich.
Great.
He's good.
I love him as Billy.
He's good.
Obviously, like, Neve Campbell kills it. Courtney Cox is awesome.
Courtney
Even
Cox.
David Arquette, like, I love them in this movie.
Yeah.
Were they like together?
They got together from this movie.
From this movie, that's what I figured.
I feel like the only purpose for David Arquette's character in this entire movie is just to make you think he's the bad guy.
Yes.
Like, right? Like, that's his only real purpose.
Yes.
I feel like he doesn't do anything at all whatsoever.
Yes. So in this movie, he is red herring.
He is red
That
herring.
is what he is for this movie. He gets more of a purpose throughout, obviously, the later movies. Because you no longer think he's the killer. You know he's one of the good guys. But yeah, this movie is just for him to keep showing up.
Yep.
And like, because there's the one scene, I know we haven't jumped into the spooky pit yet, but there's this one scene like very late in the movie where he asks Gail to go walk to see a car. And you're like, yo, this guy's the bad guy.
Yeah, and even after, when you originally see, like, when the killer's in Sidney's, like, room.
Yeah.
And like he's like watching there, he's monitoring there. He like answers the phone way after the killer has already hung up.
Yep.
And you're just like, and then like the screen pauses on him to make you think it's definitely him.
Yeah.
There's two red herrings. It's the father and him.
Yes.
But the father is just like, know it's not the father.
Yes. 100%.
I would make the argument. The one kid that pretty much none of them like the one that doesn't have the girlfriend.
Randy.
Yeah. I would make the argument.
Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
I feel like he kept on talking about the horror movies, kept on talking about the killings, kept on talking. So
one thing is for certain, and we are going to, after we get into the spooky pit, we'll talk about it deeper. I feel like it's almost guaranteed that it was a student. Like, I feel like it could not have been anybody that was not a student based on the way the killer interacts with characters, the way is almost like a goofy kind of killer.
Yeah.
It's not, nothing is clean.
Oh my God. Well, he gets tossed around most of the times, and you just hear him go, oh no.
I got to know the signs behind the garage door kill. Because there's no way that kills anybody.
No. I think there's like a trivia on that, which I'm going to look up while you're doing the introduction now. So I'll look that up. And
There's no way that slow rolling garage door would bend her neck. It's just the mechanism would stop, it would go back down, or just wouldn't be enough force and it would stop.
It would not kill her. I do agree with that. So I'll look it up just to see what the trivia is, and I'll let you jump us into the spooky pit.
Okay, Scream released in 1996. 1 year after Sidney's mother is horrifically raped and murdered, her and her friends are threatened by a masked killer who has a fascination with horror movies. Directed by Wes Craven, stars Neve Campbell as Sidney, Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, David Arquette as Deputy Dewey, Skeet Ulrich as Billy, Matthew Lillard as Stu, Rose McGowan as Tatum, Drew Barrymore as Casey, Jamie Kennedy as Randy, and Roger Jackson's legendary voice. Now, I know I named a handful there, but that's still not including some of the amazing uncredited people in this movie. Like the greatest principal in a horror movie of all time, Henry Winkler.
Incredible.
What, probably my favorite death scene in the movie, just by his reactions to getting killed, which I feel were definitely over-exaggerated, and I loved it. There's also, I think, a few more uncredited characters that are just
at the party, right?
At the party, yeah.
That aren't even on IMDb. I remember
Linda Blair is in this. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of randos. Linda Blair, I'm pretty sure, is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just the cast is just like it's insane,
incredible.
because it launches a lot of careers, but it also older, more horror icons back into the fold. Even has Wes Craven in a scene.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay, so we'll just talk about the garage door real quick, and then we'll jump into the beginning of the movie. So the original idea was for them to have this like kind of fist fight while the garage was going up, and then she was going to fall onto the ground, and he was going to slam the garage door onto her, breaking her neck. Instead, they thought it'd be cooler if the garage door just lifted her up and did it. As irrational as it is, they just thought it would like work as a scene for the movie.
She got $1 Million babied at the top of the garage.
Yes, they originally were going to $1 Million baby her at the bottom, but they were like, it'd be cooler if it lifted her up.
I also, let's talk about it when we get to it, because I have a lot of questions.
Okay.
This movie is interesting, though, because it makes me question so much, and you can almost call out early on, not the killer, but the fact that not to drop a spoiler, but it may not just be one person.
Yes. All right, so we're going to open up the classic opening scene. Drew Barrymore, some Jiffy Pop.
Legendary. Nothing's better than her receiving crank phone calls and making popcorn, and then talking about the popcorn with the killer.
Yeah. Just making some popcorn. So he's going to be like, you're going to get the whole famous line, so what's your favorite scary movie?
You like scary movies?
Yeah.
just want to say, guy's voice is incredible.
So
Absolutely legendary voice. IMDb trivia that said that Randy Jackson never met with any of the actors and actresses pre-filming, and he was like recording this on a cell phone on set while it was happening. Like he was on a cell phone recording. I almost like don't believe that because I know how shitty cell phone quality is, and his voice sounded perfectly fine. So they must have done some real audio mixing to get all those bugs out. But his voice is just absolutely incredible. Really, it's so clear, crisp, and creepy.
Yeah, it's because at first it comes off as just like a normal conversation voice, but like as it gets. He doesn't change the tone of his voice. He just gets creepier.
That's the thing. Only when he does like his little psychotic breaks when he's about to like do something.
I'll get you like a fish.
Yeah. But he keeps it pretty, like his pitch and tone is pretty even throughout his, and he just wants to like keep having an open dialogue with these people. In this case, Drew Barrymore. I think he just primarily, number one, they just wants to get her to a point of like scaring her, and that's like his, because he keeps going on about the horror movies. So this killer obviously likes horror movies.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wait, it's this movie. I just realized
they made the joke in this movie.
Yeah, literally when they're talking about scary movies,
I had a feeling.
She's like, he's like, what about Nightmare on Elm Street? She's like, yeah, but the first one's really good, but the rest suck. And that was, actually is because Wes Craven only wrote the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why he made the joke in this movie.
Savage.
He really is.
Wes Craven, like, I never saw him as like the guy. I don't know who is the guy per se, because I always thought the guy was like a combination of John Carpenter, him. Like, if you were to actually ask me who's the guy, I'd probably say John Carpenter.
Yes, I think as a whole, John Carpenter has a better collection of movies.
But here's the thing about Wes Craven. He's the only director that I know that has launched 2 of the most successful horror slasher series.
Yeah.
I don't think I could say that about any other director. I was like trying to think last night, and I couldn't really
like as
think.
a series.
Because if you think about it, like, what are the most famous slasher movies? It's the Halloweens, it's the Fridays, it's the Texas movies, it's the Freddy movies,
and Scream,
and Scream,
and Hellraiser,
or maybe Chucky,
which are all different people. Yeah, Wes Craven would be the only one to have had a part in 2 of them, which is very impressive.
And just a low shout out to like the Phantasm movies, because Phantasm,
we gotta get to those. Going on the watch list.
Insanely good.
Yeah, going on the watch list.
High priority.
Yeah, high priority on the watch list. Yeah, no, I mean, because not even like long series. Like Wes Craven did the original Hills Have Eyes, which had a sequel, which then spawned a remake, which actually was really fucking good. And then that spawned a sequel, which was really fucking bad.
Yeah, Wes Craven's lit. And then he did My Soul to Take. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Thank God he came back to do Scream 4 as his last ever movie. Because, God, My Soul to Take would have been a bad way to end it. Did you ever see My Soul to Take?
I don't think so, no.
Put it on your watch list.
I will.
It's horrible.
It's bad.
I've seen a movie way too many times, too. It's like a movie I've seen way too many times and way more than I needed to.
Yeah. No one's going to fire 100% on the movies they direct. It's impossible.
It is.
Not everyone
Not even John Carpenter.
No. I was going to say, not everyone's Quentin Tarantino. Which I'm trying to think of. His worst movie might be Death Proof.
Isn't that? Yeah, but he actually never made a bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're just talking about directing, right? Not
yeah,
like
just directing.
Yeah, he never made a bad movie.
Yeah.
Which is insane. He's batting 1,000.
He really is. But that's like such a rare exception because like everyone has misses.
Yeah,
like,
everybody has misses for sure.
But yeah, all right. So let's get back. So the scary stuff's happening. The phone call's going on.
He calls her 3 times because she hangs up because he's prank calling her.
And eventually, though, she admits she has a boyfriend who's going to come here and kick his ass. And he's like, "Oh, do you mean Steve, the guy I have tied up in the back?"
He's like, "Just go check your patio."
Yeah.
And this killer loves patios.
Yes.
Are they in the Hollywood Hills? Where the fuck are they?
Okay, so this is they're in California. That is what's the name of the town they're in though?
I forgot.
Woodsboro.
Yeah,
they're in Woodsboro.
It just looks like the Hollywood Hills because even in like Sidney's, like when she's like hanging out, you just see the backdrop.
That's why it's a very weird area because the school looks like a very suburban, tight knit, but all their homes
are rich,
are farm homes in the middle of nowhere. Like because even Stu's house has no neighbors.
Bro, they're like estates. Like Sidney lives in an estate.
Yes.
Casey, who's about to get killed, lives in a fucking estate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like very nice homes.
Yes.
Yeah.
One thing I do know about Stu's home, and I know this thanks to Dead Meat Podcast, shout out to them. The Stu's farmhouse, you can actually visit. Like they do tours of like that
Really?
farmhouse and stuff like
That's
that.
cool.
So it's actually that's how famous that thing is. Like it's iconic. Yeah. So she's gonna have to answer some trivia questions now to keep Steve alive. She's not gonna do too good though.
Yeah, like who's the killer in the first Friday movie?
It's a trick question because technically she was wrong.
She was absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
I think the way he worded it was like the first Jason movie.
Yeah.
So I would have played Brian LaGrasta semantics, and I would have been like, but you said the first Jason movie. I think you meant Friday the 13th.
Steve's dead. You give that kind of lip, Steve's dead. So Steve is dead though. Anyway, he gets gutted. Like his insides just start peeling out.
He gets disemboweled. It's
Yeah.
pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Poor Steve.
Poor guy. Never stood a chance.
No.
It sucks when you're in the game but not part of the game, you know? Like,
You're just waiting for your girlfriend to just fuck up and get you killed.
yeah, because you know the girlfriend's not going to get the question right.
You could see it in his eyes. He knew he was screwed.
Yeah.
She
Absolutely.
shouldn't have left Stu for Steve.
What a mistake. How are you leaving Matthew Lillard? Is this why they were killed? Probably.
I don't know.
I always had a thing for you, Sid. I love Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard is like
Sharon Stone.
he's so good. Oh, that end of the movie. So he's gonna eventually throw a chair through the patio door. He's gonna run in. He's gonna chase her. The popcorn's on fire. She's gonna get stabbed. She's gonna run through the sprinklers. Her clothes are gonna. That scary movie. She's gonna run out.
Wait.
Wrong movie. She's gonna run outside. She's gonna get stabbed while she's holding the phone. Her parents are gonna come home to mayhem.
Oh, it's literal pandemonium. And I do like how they like show like the killer chasing her while the parents are like coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
Like
well
again,
done.
this is what I'm talking about. Like right away, this is not a professional killer.
No, it's
Like,
very
a-
sloppy.
it's a shit show.
Yeah.
And like as the parents are coming in the door, you could see her coming from the side and him just like grabbing her and like trying to kill her. He actually does not fully kill her. He just kind of like stabs her. Even like looks like he's stabbing her like through the neck
Yeah. I think it's like kind of like torso,
and
chest,
dragging
area.
her. They're seeing their house in absolute shambles, so they're getting ready to call the police when they do look outside towards the backyard.
And she's hanging from the tree.
Yep. Now she's dead for sure.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially because the title card comes up and there we go. We're in Scream.
We're in it.
We are in
Great,
it.
great intro to a movie.
It really
one
is.
Of the,
Agreed.
one of the best intros,
Yeah.
right? Like I would say, like it's longer, but it really sets a good tone, and it was very entertaining. It did not feel long. It was just like very eloquently done.
I agree. It sets the pace for the movie very well. So I think this is where we cut right to Sidney, right? In her room. It goes right to her. She's in her,
Classic '90s bedroom.
yep, posters on the wall, you know, a window that a guy's going to come through. Like,
And this is very Clarissa explains it all. Melissa Joan Hart did not get the part. Skeet Ulrich, Billy's coming in.
yeah.
It's coming in hot.
His lines in this part are so cheesy. When he's like, I was watching The Exorcist and it got me thinking about
It got me so hot.
It's like when she was just vomiting all over the room. I was like thinking of me and you. He's like, I just love how he talks. He's like, it was on TBS. All the good parts were cut out.
Yeah. But he's just trying to get it in.
Yeah,
And
he's a high school boy. He wants to get it in.
they keep it very tongue-tied at the point, but she's not giving it up.
No, this whole reason for that.
You'll find out very soon why,
Yeah.
but not giving it up. So he just wants to do some over-the-pants stuff.
I love how he asked for over the pants stuff.
I love it comes in at night specifically just asking for over-the-pants.
That's like dedication to like travel through a window just to get an over the pants HJ. It seems kind of excessive.
You don't think he should get his expenses paid?
I guess so. I do love how the dad comes in And he's just like, I heard a banging noise in here. And she's like, no, it's nothing. Just go away. The dad doesn't care about anything.
And he's going on a trip.
Yeah.
So
He's got a business trip, which he's never going to make it to.
alibi,
Yeah.
wouldn't you say?
It would be if he checked into the hotel, which he doesn't. So Billy's going to go back through the window because they make out a little. Nothing. She does flash him, though. You
Yeah,
don't see anything, but
because
she gives him a little flash.
She's not signing off to like an NC-17 movie, but she'll give him that PG-13 relationship.
Which is weird because I don't think I've seen tits in a PG-13 relationship.
You don't. I don't know if they showed it. Maybe in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, but-
Nowadays, you won't see it.
No, but then again, she technically doesn't show it to the camera. She only shows it to
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
which is very PG-13.
100%. The
So
cutaway.
it does make sense.
Classic cutaway.
Yeah. All right, so we go to the school the next day. Cameras everywhere.
It's a big to do.
Yeah, because 2 people have been murdered.
Casey and Steve.
Yes.
Or they're dead.
Cooked. This is where we meet Gail.
Gail Weathers. Courtney Cox.
I do love that she's very.
I love her.
They just make the joke. She's like, shouldn't you be a weather reporter with a name like that?
Matt goes, I love her. I love her. Courtney. 2 years into Friends, Courtney. I was telling you, IMDb trivia. We don't know if it's right or not. Who knows? Who the hell really?
No
does
one
that?
knows what
Who
IMDb
really
trivia.
gets it. Janine Garofalo turned on the role. I think they said, and then like Brooke Shields was close to signing on for that role.
Okay.
However, in any case, it landed in Monica Geller's hands. As the reporter.
Yeah. She's great.
Yep.
Matt loves her.
I do.
I mean, she's going to report on this case, and you'll find out soon. And she has a theory. She has a couple of deep. She's trying to write a book and win a Pulitzer.
Yeah. So, well, let's go into the deep dive of the storyline here. Gail wrote a book about Cotton Weary being innocent. Cotton Weary is the man who was convicted of killing Sidney Prescott's mom, Maureen Prescott. Now, Maureen Prescott wasn't exactly a housewife. She was an actress. She was a little bit of a whore, you know.
Oh, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Dad.
I love how throughout the series, they don't hide it. They're just like, yeah, she was sleeping with this guy with proof that she was sleeping with every single person. But yeah, so apparently Sidney said it was Cotton. She said she saw him. And Gail's whole thing is she's like, you saw someone.
Yeah.
She believes
It was the coat because the coat was, I believe, like they said the coat was found with his, like with her blood on it. It was his coat. And then she's like, no, we saw it leaving the house.
Yes.
But like who was leaving
the
with
house?
is the
Because
question.
Cotton said he left the coat there. He was framed. Which Cotton Weary, do they show him in this?
They do. They show
briefly
footage of him, and I could not believe who it is, because here's another one. Liev Schreiber.
Yes.
Fucking Sabretooth.
Yes.
Is Cotton Weary a rapist and murderer?
Yes.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But he was convicted, actually, so
He
it's
was.
not even allegedly.
Yes.
He was convicted.
She's just
and
writing the book to
sentenced.
try to get him off out of prison. Fun fact, he's actually in Scream 2 and 3.
I like Cotton. I like his character.
I actually like
He
his
looked
character a
creepy.
lot.
You look at him, you're like, this guy's an absolute killer. He did it.
Yes.
He did it.
This is another thing. This is a trivia I actually am almost positive is true, is that he was just in this as a throwaway character for movie 1.
He was never supposed to be in.
And apparently, he got such a good reaction. Like, people are like, oh, shit, Liev Schreiber. Like, they cast him to do more. Like, people wanted more. And so they...
What I would say is the way they shot that footage of him being sentenced, he looked like a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He looked
people
like a
were
young
interested.
killer.
Yeah. So people were interested in the character. So Wes Craven brought him back to have a bigger role in the second movie.
And with a name like Cotton Weary, that
It's
just
a great name,
it's
isn't
got
it?
killer written all over it. Holy shit.
Like, it is an iconic name. Like, that's a name of, like, you're either a serial killer or you pitch for, like, the Royals.
That's a fact. 100%.
Like, there's nothing in between.
Yeah.
All right. So, school's going on. We see the news reporters, all that. We meet some of Sidney's friends now. We meet Stu. We meet Rose McGowan's character. I can't remember. Tatum. We meet Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy, as you said. And they're the weirdest group of friends I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, they immediately think, like, okay, well, they're talking about the murder, and they immediately suspect, like, hey, it's probably you, Stu.
Yeah.
Because he used to date, used to date her, and then she, like, Casey left you for Steve. And she's like, no, I left her for you, babe. Tatum, 'cause he is dating Rose McGowan's character, who specifically dyed her hair blonde for this movie to properly distinguish away from Nev Campbell's character.
Smart. It's a good move. You don't want. Yeah, you need.
Not two. She got black hair.
Yeah.
Two black haired women.
Yeah. You need the one blonde. It makes sense. Also, I feel like the side girl is always a blonde anyway, so it kind of fits the horror movie tropes.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So they talk. They discuss, like you said, the murder. And then I think we cut to nighttime where Sidney's at her house and she's waiting for Tatum to pick her up.
Yeah.
Tatum's running hella late, though.
Hella late. She's supposed to come, like 7 or something. She's running late. And she's going to get a phone call.
Yeah, she is. This is the killer. We know this because the voice is identical to the person who killed Casey. Start asking her some questions, asking her favorite scary movie, the classic line. Then it starts to get a little weird. Yeah, as it always does.
You don't say. Come on.
Yeah, you know, it's like, am I at the front door? Am I in the back door? And she doesn't buy in, so she goes outside to check.
She's ballsy.
Very, very. Now, my question is, when she goes onto the porch and, like, steps off, does he, like, sneak in behind her to get into the home, or was he in the home the entire time?
That's great. Also, if he was in the home the whole time, how does she not hear him?
Yes.
Especially when it starts getting a little loud.
That's why I think he snuck in from behind at that point.
Yeah.
Because she gets back in the house and he just crashes through the closet. And I do, because in her phone call, she's like, I hate horror movies. Like, they should always be running out of the front door instead of up the stairs. Yeah. And she does try to go out the front door, but since she locked it, she can't, like, get the lock to open, so she has to run upstairs, like one does in a horror movie.
She also mentioned the big-titted woman. Always they always attract killers, which is
that's
awesome.
because they're like and they'll go into all the tropes because they just usually have sex and die, or do drugs, or say I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Look at Matthew Lillard.
You know he is so quotable in this movie.
Dude,
considering it's all we've done.
My actual favorite quote in this movie is actually done by Dewey when he says, I'm 25. It's like, I'm 25. I was 24 for a whole year. I was like, I had to pause to like truly ponder what that actually meant. And you said it in such a flirtatious manner to Gail, because there was instant attraction.
Yes.
Both 100%. On and off the camera screen.
So she actually makes a point of saying, she's like, my key demographic is males 18 to 24. And it's like, I'm 25. I just missed it. But then as they keep talking, he's like, by the way, I was 24 for a whole year, meaning he was watching the whole time. It's like so corny, but it's also very charming at the same time. Good for the Dooster.
It's great. I met in Scary Movie, what's the parody,
Doofy.
I met him.
Did you?
Yeah, at the horror con. He was there.
Nice. Who is he?
I forgot the actor's name. It's just Doofy.
Just Doofy.
Yeah. I forgot the actor's name.
It's actually he's really funny in that movie. What a classic scary movie. All right. So this is all going to go on. She gets chased up the stairs. This is my one question that I actually don't know the answer to. She can't get she doesn't have a phone, so she calls the police through her Windows 98. Can you actually call the police through a computer like that?
I genuinely don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Like, I've never,
But, you know, the technology in the 90s was a little different. I mean, like, that's early stages of the internet.
Yeah.
Like, they had text video games. Like,
yeah, so it could be text to call.
Dispatch call, like, through text.
Yeah. No,
I'll say I'm buying in.
Okay.
Either way, I'm buying in.
All right. So
it's Saturday.
We're buying in.
I'm buying in.
So the killer leaves. The police are going to show up. But before the police are going to show up, Billy's going to come through the window again. And he's like, I heard screaming. And then a cell phone's going to fall down. And then a knife is going to fall down.
It's very convenient.
Yeah.
Very convenient because it's like right after the killer. Like, she doesn't see the killer. And then, like, he pops in. It's almost as like, maybe you're the killer.
Yeah. Well, that's why she runs from him.
Yeah, the cell phone. That's a pretty convenient drop.
Yeah. So she runs from him. She runs to the front door, and Dewey's standing there holding the scream mask. And I'm like, it's one of the two.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's got to be, right? Because, like, well, how does, like, it's all timed to.
So is it Billy? Is it Dewey?
Yeah.
Like, those are the two prime suspects right now.
At this point in time, and even though they had mentioned Randy and Stu, in my head at the time, I'm like, Dewey or
Randy
Billy.
and Stu constantly talk about how much they love horror movies through this. So that's
Yeah.
just like a thing to note because the killer loves horror movies.
Yes.
He talks about it and like they mention horror movies and they talk about horror movies throughout this entire movie, which I love. I feel like this movie had like, and it like did such a good job of like, blending the tropes, but also making a parody of the tropes.
Yes.
Agreed.
Throughout the movie.
Just a brief through some of this. It's not too important. They go to the police station. Sidney talks to the cops. She gives like her report of what happened. We see Billy is in jail.
Just looking at her.
Just looking at her, like saying the whole thing.
It's great.
Tatum's going to take Sidney home.
He's also going to take the Celtics to the next series.
Exactly. When they're outside, though, Gail is trying to get an interview with Sidney. Sidney just fucking decks her in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Great moment.
So there's
Yeah.
there because she's like, I guess, writing the book and reporting on her mother
Yeah.
getting, that Cotton's not the killer because she testified to basically put Cotton away.
Yes.
and pretty much just saying that she's a fat out liar.
You're a liar.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you are a liar. Really, pretty much just like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're a liar.
So he punches her in the mouth.
Yep.
Great punch.
Great punch.
I think even
Dewey
Tatum
says-
said, or Dewey
Yeah.
says a nice hook.
And I should mention, Dewey and Tatum are brother and sister. Not that it holds weight at all, but it's just something. I guess maybe because of the relationship, because if she's best friends with Tatum, she would have had to have been known Dewey for a while, because Dewey is assigned to like pretty much like watch over her.
Yeah.
That's also something that is never referenced again in the series until Scream 5, that Tatum and Dewey were brother and sister.
I don't really think
It's like they almost forgot about it for like 3 movies until the 5th one.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, by the way.
yeah, but I think it does like make a little bit of sense because you'd have to assume like they had like some kind of a relationship.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's assigned to like watch her.
No, yeah. All right, so they get back to the house. Everything's going fine. And then she gets a call. Sidney gets a call at Tatum's house.
Yeah,
And it's the killer.
it is.
And he's like, you
it's
think
him.
it was Billy?
So now she knows if Billy is staying overnight at the police
Yeah.
precinct, he's not the killer.
Yes. And this is when I first started to think there's 2 killers. Because I was kind of sold
Yep.
on Billy being a killer. I thought it was like,
Yep.
I was like, there might be 2 people working here.
Movie does a good job though of doing like the whole thing, just like making it like the obvious killer. Like as horror movies
Yeah.
present the obvious killer, it can't be the obvious killer. But how about if the obvious killer is the killer?
There's
There's
a
just
lot
a
of-
second one as well.
I know.
There's a lot of misdirection in it.
There is.
It really is funny, and I really enjoyed it throughout this whole movie. They try to do everything they could to present with you the fact that like it's so obvious that Billy is the killer.
Yes. All right. So now we cut to the next day at school, and Gail runs into Sidney again. And this is when they actually have the Cotton Weary talk. That's like, did you falsely accuse
You
him?
love the name Gail because you love Gail Sayers.
Of course, who doesn't? Gail's a great name. Sidney does apologize to Gail here. She's like, I'm sorry I hit you in the face. I was just angry.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, fair. Now when they go into school, there's like kids running around with the Scream mask
They're
on.
just pranking it with the mask.
Yeah.
And this is
Stu
my-
loves it.
Absolutely loves it. But you know who doesn't like it is the principal.
No. I don't know his name, so I'm just going to call him Principal Winkle.
Henry Winkler.
He expels the 2
He
kids.
pulls a knife to them.
He does.
I absolutely love him in this movie. He pulls a knife to 2 students, literally just pulls the mask off them, telling them it's no joke, 2 students have just been murdered and you're parodying this. And is there another reason why I think a student's the killer? It's such a common costume. These kids they probably don't have jobs.
No.
They're literally buying the most common costume that year.
They make a note of that, too, because when they're like...
They can't trace back the costume.
Exactly. They're like, this is sold at like 16 stores in just our area.
That part's actually pretty genius. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But
Well, they did kind of the same thing in Halloween. Michael Myers' mask. He just actually, and when he first gets the mask, he just goes to a Halloween shop and pulls it off the
I
shelf.
thought you just ripped the skin off of William Shatner.
Also might have done that. Anything's possible. So they suspend school. They're like done.
And they gotta
School's done.
Put a curfew on.
Yeah, they put a curfew
And
on.
the kids love it.
They do because they're gonna have a party at Stu's house tonight. Real
care.
rager.
I don't care if there's a killer going around. I want to stay home. I don't want to go to
Yeah.
school.
Me either. So the principal, once all the kids are gone, Sidney actually gets a scare in the bathroom again. She gets chased by the actual
Sidney
killer.
Prescott or Sidney Poitier?
No, Sidney Prescott for this one. She gets chased out of the bathroom by the killer. She then runs into Billy again. They have a little talk. And he's like, so you still think it's me, Sid?
Yeah. So now it's like pretty much confirmed it's not him.
Yes.
The police have released him.
Exactly. So they all leave, and now the principal, alone in his office, starts to hear some noises. Goes out of his office. Who does he see? Fred, the janitor, a.k.a. Wes Craven, dressed up as Freddy Krueger,
Like the
doing his best cosplay.
Dressed with a red and green sweater, looking like Kurt Cobain out there.
He really does. The principal's going to go back into his office. He's going to be like wearing the mask as like, he's like, ooga booga.
Ooga booga. I love this scene. And then like the killer's just there.
Stabs him.
And his like his facial reaction and he's like gesturing and posturing of getting killed is just so hilarious.
So now who made the point that it was definitely, they thought it was definitely.
Me.
This also is a good point of it being a student, because why would just a random killer be killing the principal?
100%.
It makes no sense to
He's
target.
also killing, this is another thing, he's killing off of Sidney's friends.
Yes.
Like, what if you're a killer and targeting Sidney for the, like, you'd be targeting just Sidney, she's killing off friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you want to also target the principal. I feel like the principal is just like, you don't feel like going to school once all this is said and done.
Yeah. Wild.
It is.
Also, he has access to the building, goes into the restroom, you know, to like that's coming up to torture Sidney.
Yeah. So it's definitely like.
But also, this is the reason, because there are other students that are getting pulled off with their mask in school. If this person was just like Sidney's like the killer's in the bathroom, that would have just been another student.
Exactly. You wouldn't know. Randy and Stu have a very interesting conversation at the video store.
At the video store where Randy works and has been fired twice already there, but for some reason they just wanted him back a third time.
It's because he knows his movies.
Does. A horror movie.
I actually love this scene because of Randy's freakouts while like just people are shopping for movies. And it's like, everyone is a suspect.
I like it because he basically is like, I could tell you what, like, I'm pretty sure Billy fits the profile of the killer here. And then, yeah, he goes on his tangent. I love how he runs, like, right into Billy.
Billy, like, does this thing, too, where he, like, hovers over Stu. He's, like, almost holding him from behind.
He's like this great thing of, like, when something happens, he just shifts into frame,
Yes.
right? So, like, I do love that about his character. So it's, like, this constant thing of, like, it's so obvious he can't be the killer, but also we're going to do everything we can to prove it to the audience that he's not the killer. At the same time, which is interesting.
So, like, coming out of this scene, do you guys think any of the three of these are the killer? Do you still think it's Billy or not? Do you think it's Stu now? Do you think it's Randy now from this scene?
My original thought when I first watched this movie was I did believe that it was either Dewey or I liked Stu for the killer.
Okay.
And growing up, it was just because the guy in the mask was tall and Stu was tall. It literally had nothing to do with the fact that he loved horror movies. But that was just like my first initial thought.
Honestly, it makes sense.
I didn't think Billy was the killer, just being honest. But I'm talking about like when I watched this as a kid.
Yeah.
When I first watched it, I thought guy that works at the movie store,
Randy,
and then also I thought Billy as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, so we're all different because I always thought, like, when the first time I saw it, I thought it was Billy or Dewey. Those were the two.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind it was Stu. Probably until like later on in the movie when it's like almost.
I only based it off of his size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, like the cop, Dewey is like the deputy is like the prototypical like red herring. So I always thought it would like him, like probably mostly everybody else. I never thought it was the father. Like just
no, me either.
no,
That's the thing.
Just to reiterate, never thought it was the father.
Yeah. The father is a very obvious red herring.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a movie that's supposed to be parodying other horror movies. I think that's why they made it so obvious it wasn't the father. Yeah. Like, almost every evidence almost seems planted. Like, we're going to get to the car soon, which is such an obvious plant that, like, someone is setting the father up.
Yep.
Okay. So, then we go actually to the party. There's a brief scene between Dewey and the police chief where they discuss that the father's still missing.
Yeah.
So there is that. We got to the party now.
But they do mention that it's the father's phone call that was caught making those.
Yes, that's right.
Those phone calls. It wasn't Billy's. That's why he got let off.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It was the father's phone where those calls were made.
Which Dewey does make the points like, can someone like clone a cell phone? Which Well, we'll get back to.
Nobody can reach the father, too.
Yeah. So they also checked into the hotel. No sign of him. He hasn't checked into the hotel yet. So we come out of that. We're at the party. There's a whole bunch of kids. They're actually watching Halloween all in the living room, which I think is actually a really interesting way to portray like a high school party.
High school party, I love it. It's very interesting because they're watching horror movies. Not only that, who's invited? The press.
Yeah.
The town, the police.
Yeah.
We're like, you guys are drinking? Have one for me.
You know what it is, though? I think it's they feel they're all safer together. And I think that's why they didn't want to break it up. That's at least how I took it as.
Okay.
Because because Dewey says he's going to stay outside.
Dewey just wants to get puss. We all know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
He just wants to get puss.
Yeah.
I thought, like, yes, because she does plant the camera in there.
Yeah.
Yes, I first thought like she was only doing this for additional press, but she does like him.
Yes. 100%.
And
I think
he loves her.
I think at first it does start off, she's just using him, but I think she develops feelings for him. So, yes, like you said, she plants the camera so she can watch everything. There's a 30-second delay. Very important.
Yeah.
Then Stu asked Tatum to go get him a beer.
Give me a beer.
As one does. So she goes to the garage. And
she'll be right back.
Oh, yeah. She's grabbing some beers. She looks up at the door. Ghostface just standing there.
He's just in the garage.
Yeah.
You know, why does she not try to open the garage?
Well, because she
does. I think she attempts to.
And it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Yes.
But then it works when he does it?
Yes. That part makes absolutely no sense. Also, though, she thinks she's being fucked with. Yeah. Because she doesn't, she just walks up to him. She hits the garage. She's like, why isn't this working?
She thinks it's like fucking Randy or something, yeah.
But then he grabs her arm and he cuts her arm.
Everybody thinks it's fucking Randy. Like Sidney in the beginning thought the prank phone calls
was Randy. That's another reason why I just never really thought it was Randy. I don't know. I think, going back to, you thought, oh, the killer's tall. It could be Stu. Me, I'm like, this is fucking Jamie Kennedy. It's not going to be Jamie Kennedy. So after she gets cut, I love this scene. She just starts pelting him with beer bottles.
Incredible. Just slamming him and cracking him on his body.
And he's getting hurt.
Yeah.
Then he runs at her and she fucking football flips him over. He falls into the stairs.
Another reason though, I think this is just a younger student because in the beginning, you remember when he's in Sydney's, he can't get into the room.
Yeah.
The door's locked. He can't break the lock in the room.
No, because he's not that strong.
He's also getting harmed. He doesn't kill anybody totally clean. It's always for some of these people, it's a struggle.
I don't think there's a clean kill in the whole movie. Maybe the principal, just because he jumped out at him unsuspecting.
Yeah.
But that's different. Also,
he's also in a confined area where he couldn't really move.
Exactly. Anyone who had all this open space actually puts up a good fight.
Sure.
Until Tatum has the great idea of going through the cat door.
Dumb. There's a little cat door that she could squeeze through in the bottom of the garage door because apparently when she clicked it didn't work, but when he did it did work.
Yeah.
So he's gonna click it right now, and it's gonna take her up all the way to the top of the garage door, to which we earlier mentioned that we don't believe this would actually kill her, but it brought her up so her neck got crunched by the top of the door.
Yeah, it cracks her neck. I just don't see how this would actually work. I feel like the garage would just stop.
It would absolutely stop, or actually probably just go back down.
Yeah, I don't see how
Or even if it got to the top, I don't think she could probably just move her neck to it not.
I need a
crunched.
Mythbusters episode on this.
This one I just this was a kill I couldn't swallow.
No, I agree with that.
I agree.
It's awesome. Don't get me wrong, it's super cool, but
I mean, I'm not unhappy it happened.
Yeah. It's implausible. So, while this is all happening, Billy and Sidney are actually upstairs making out, and they're going to go a little deeper into the relationship.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I was sold on Billy being the killer right here when he was he dropped the line about it's all a movie.
Yeah.
What a fucking killer line.
I know.
Because the whole killer loves horror movies. It's all a movie. You just don't pick your genre. He's picking his.
Yeah. Agreed. While this is going on, Randy's downstairs yelling at a group of kids about the rules of horror movies. He's like, the virgin always lives.
Yeah, that's important because while he's doing that, he's talking about the rules. The virgin always lives. You never take off your clothes and have sex. And then you never drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And never do drugs, yep.
And never say
I'll be right back.
I'll be right back. Those are the rules. And when they're upstairs and they're having sex, so she's a virgin, right? So
yes.
This is the first time she's going to have Sex. I guess it was this speech and the fact that she finally maybe believes that Billy isn't the killer. That's just like, you know what? It's time for us to fuck.
Mm-hmm. And I think Matt had a request for this scene.
Did you have a request, Matt?
Passion bump.
Passion bump. Passion bump. Passion bump. My G. We're a big fan of Young Love. We'll passion bump it. Sure. Why not?
Why not?
So there's a lot going on. They're fucking. Randy's explaining rules. Dewey goes up to Gail during this, and he's like, "Hey,
want to go for a
walk? There's a car." And she's like, "Oh," she starts to go to her car, and he's like, and then he fucking, in the most red herring shit of all time, fucking flips the flashlight on himself pretty much, and he's like, "It's not that far. We can just walk."
Yeah.
I'm like, he's killing her. I'm like, he's off in Gale.
It's him. They're all over there. They're going on a walk by themselves. It's him.
Yeah.
Kenny's in the car watching
know.
30-second delayed footage.
I'm like, yeah, she's done. So they walk. They find the car down a road. While that happens, though, Randy gets a phone call. The principal is hanging from the football post. All the kids leave.
Yeah.
Literally everyone leaves. Speed off. Down the road. Almost run over Gail and Dewey. So they fall into the pit, the car
little
pit.
smooch.
And give a little smooch. A little. You know what? Fucking passion bump this, because they're a couple after this movie. Passion bump. Passion bump. Passion bump.
He's been waiting for this his whole life.
He really has. They're a cute couple. I wish they lasted.
Yeah, and then she moves his face to see the
car.
She's like, "Is that what you're looking for?" And she's like, "That's the father's car. We should be heading back to the house."
Yep.
That's kind of weird. Why is Sidney's father's car there?
I don't know. Now we cut back to Billy. And Sidney then does the most, "Yeah, you're the killer" thing. She's like, "So I was thinking, right? You were in jail. You get that one phone call. Who'd you call?" And it's like, "Oh, I called my dad." She's like, "But you didn't."
But the police called your
dad.
father. Like, but I just wanted to see if he took my call and he hung up.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't answer for me.
And he's like, "Why are you asking me this?" And she's like, "I was just thinking, it's like, be kind of horror movie appropriate if you used your one phone call to call me." Like,
you still think it's me?
Then a killer runs in and stabs him 3 times.
And you're like, well, now it's certainly after the upteenth time, it's not Billy.
Yes.
Because he's fucking super dead.
Yes. This is when in my head I was like, huh.
That's Carrie's corn syrup.
Yeah. No, I actually wasn't thinking that. I was like, well, all the kids are gone. Tatum's dead. And Dewey and Gail are at the car. So I was like, that leaves 2 people. Randy or Stu. And I'm like, fuck. It was Stu. Never thought of it until this one. Because in my head, I'm like, it's still not Randy. Randy's probably watching Halloween downstairs.
Stu is also not in the scene when all of them leave.
He's not.
It's just him and everyone there. He's not there.
Well, because he did the "I'll be right back" and then never came back.
And Kaylin called something that I actually didn't think until we were watching it together. She said, and she didn't even think he was the killer, but she's mentioned it. She's like, why is he not looking for his girlfriend?
It's a good point.
Like,
I didn't think of that either.
He doesn't give a fuck about his girlfriend. Why is he not looking for her?
Yeah,
she's like,
that's so true.
She didn't even think he was the killer. She said, she's like, if you're not looking for me at a party, I'm fucking mad at you. I'm like, you're fucking sick.
Yeah, but to be fair to Caitlin, if you had first also told her to go get a beer in the garage and then she didn't come back for 20 minutes, I guess that is on you.
I wholeheartedly tell her to get me a beer all the time.
But she comes back.
She comes back. I would go looking.
Yeah.
Stu doesn't care. We're watching horror movies. They're watching fucking Halloween.
Yeah, you can't fault him for that. Jesus. So Billy's been stabbed. Sid runs away. She's able to escape, and then she runs outside to Kenny in the news van, and that's when they see Ghostface getting ready to like stab Randy in a great scene where he's like, "He's behind you. Look behind you."
Jamie. Like, he's screaming like, "Jamie behind you." And obviously the parody of Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie in the movie. There's a lot going on with that scene when you really think about all the...
She, like, Nev Campbell this time is going into the car.
Yeah.
Also, that's a 30-second delay.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, when they realize that, like, Kenny looks back and realizes Jamie Kennedy didn't get killed, looks back, neck slit. That's a quick kill. That's probably the quickest kill in the whole movie.
Kenny's toast.
Yeah. He bleeds a lot. It's like gushing down.
Yeah.
I do like at Kenny's last breath, he's like, close the door, and then collapses. So yeah, she closes the news van door, tries to escape from Ghostface, and I'm trying to remember exactly where this goes from here. Because Dewey and Gale start to come back, right?
Yeah, it's going to cut to them. Specifically, I know that she starts running, right? Into a car?
He says like that they're going to split up, and he runs into the house, she runs towards the car.
Yep.
Because they're going to warn them about Sid's dad's car.
Yep.
So then he goes in and goes through the house and everything, and doesn't he get stabbed in the back, right?
Yeah, he gets stabbed in the back of the front of the house, and you think he's just dead, and you see Ghostface behind him. You're like, "Fuck, he's not the killer."
Yeah, because at this point, like everyone's thinking it's Stu, right?
Yeah, and then she's trying to get into a car also, and then this is where she realized like
the blood is all over.
Kenny's like at the top of the car,
so she drives off, fucking crashes into a tree.
Because she sees Sidney in the middle of the road.
Yes, because Sidney waves her down. Yeah, it's pandemonium at this point because then Sidney runs to the house, and Dewey's on the floor, and then Randy and Stu both run up, and they're like, "It's fucking him!
It's him! It's me! It's him!" I thought Randy was fucking dead, which also could make you think that he's the killer.
Killer now,
but now they're pointing fingers at each other.
The reason I didn't think he was the killer was because the killer was standing above him. But at this point, then you can make the thing. It's like, oh shit, maybe they're both the killer, just trying to fuck with Sid.
Yeah,
sure. There's a lot going on. Like, I think the first time I watched it, at this point, I was like positive it was Stu. And then I was like, fuck, maybe it is Randy? Like, there's so much going on. But then Sid gets into the house, locks them out, and Billy comes down the stairs and...
Not dead.
No.
Carries corn syrup.
Because he's like, give me the gun. I'll protect you. She gives him the gun. And she's like looking for his like wound. And that's when he does the corn syrup.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. He's the killer. And then she tries to run away from him.
Goes to the door. Randy comes in. And she's like, he's the killer. And he just fucking shoots Randy. Randy goes flying through like a vase after he gets shot.
Yeah. And because she like runs also like into
Stu. And this is when Billy does it. He like scratches his head with the gun. He's like, we all go a little mad sometimes. Psycho.
Anthony Perkins, psycho.
Yeah, I love that scene. So now this is when Stu goes off the fucking rails.
Yeah, you're right. Because now they're trying to cover up everything that's happened, and they start like stabbing each other. They also go into like, why would you do this, Billy? Mm-hmm. And she's like, and he makes that idea of like, isn't it scarier when there is no motive? Because I guess like the fear of the unknown, like people could just do crazy shit.
But there is a motive.
For him, at least. I don't know what the fuck Stu... I still don't know what Stu's motive was.
I truly think Stu is just crazy.
He's a friend. Yeah, he's insane. I also think he's trying to get back at some of the people at school because, like, obviously Casey
broke up with him and stuff like that. And I actually do believe him when he says peer pressure. Like, I do think Billy's like, yo, you're doing this with it. Yeah. But Billy's motive is essentially Sidney's mom slept with Billy's dad, causing Billy's mom to leave them.
Which is legit because he mentions that early because they make this stupid comparison. She's like, my mother's dad was like, it's the same. My mother left me.
Yeah.
Abandoned me.
Yeah. And it is all because of Sidney's mom. She did the whole thing. So yeah, this is going on. Their whole plan now, because we realize Sidney's dad's tied up in the closet, is they're going to say Sidney's dad was the killer, couldn't handle the 1-year anniversary of his wife's death, so he killed everyone, including Sidney, and then killed himself, but didn't realize Stu and Billy were still alive, which is why they start stabbing each other.
And they get a little too stab happy though. Yeah. This scene's insane.
It is hilarious.
You got me pretty deep, Billy. I think I'm dying over here, man.
Insanity. Yeah, he looks like he's on so many drugs, and he sounds like he's on like hypermorphine.
Oh my God, Matthew Lillard acts the shit out of this scene. It's
he does
fantastic.
The same shit in 13 Ghosts.
He does, and that's the thing. He goes so over the top in his horror movies.
Yeah,
but I love him for it.
I love him
because
too.
You know me. I gave 13 Ghosts a 6.
So
I liked it.
I mean, I gave it a 6 too.
Yeah,
a low 6.
Did I give it maybe I gave it a 7. I actually might have. I'm gonna look real quick while we discuss this, but like
sure. So, do you think the killers were just trying to cause fear with her, and were not like Billy was not trying to kill her until he fucked her? Because they mentioned the whole thing about like the virgins like living, and then once they have sex, they die. Right now, they can kill her, but prior, it was primarily just like scaring the shit out of her.
I think he wanted to gain her trust, and
Yeah.
the best way to do that was to, I guess, sleep with her.
Yeah.
And also just sleep with her.
Yes.
I mean, yes,
that was
absolutely.
the end game. He had to sleep with her before he killed her. I did give 13 Goes to 6 with you, by the way, so we did give it the same rating. I just liked it a little more, I think. But, yeah, I don't think he was ever going to kill her early on. It was all about building the story, building the horror, building the suspense, torturing Sidney, essentially.
I mean, and this idea of a dual killer makes sense because, like, while someone was like in the closet, like in her house earlier, someone could have been doing the voice,
the phone call.
Because I was like, you would just fucking hear this person.
Yes.
It's right behind you.
Yes. Well, same thing. Like, so while Billy's in prison, I actually don't think he used his phone call to call Sidney. Stu could have just did that.
Oh yeah, no, Stu definitely did that. Yeah, no.
So it all makes sense. Well, it's just going on though, and they're stabbing each other, and the whole plot's going on. Gail shows up with the gun.
Yeah, because they were looking for the gun. Like, where's the gun? And then like she shows up,
has the gun. She's not dead. Last we saw her was the crash. And then Billy's even like, I thought you said she was dead. And I was like, she looks dead. Still kind of does.
yeah, fucking insane.
Gail doesn't know how safeties work though, so Billy's able to kick her into the wall.
And this pole takes her out.
Yeah, he's gonna shoot her, but then Stu's like, Houston, we got a problem here.
She's gone. Sydney's
gone. So then Sidney calls them. She's like, I just called the police. You're in trouble. Stu has the famous line, my parents are going to be so mad at me.
And Billy's just pretty much like, find him.
Yep.
You fuck up.
He hits it. You hit me with the phone, Dick.
Pretty bad, man.
Dude, I love him. I love you, Matthew Lillard. It's so good. Sidney does eventually stab Billy with an umbrella twice after jumping out of the closet. Stu chases her. Have a little scuffle. Throws TV on his head.
Yeah.
Fries him. He's done.
That's an
cooked.
instant kill.
No more Stu. Then it comes down to Billy versus Sidney. Billy actually gets the upper hand. He's going to kill her until Gail shows up, shoots him in the...
Safety off.
Yep. Shoots him in the chest.
Do you like how she came out with the Ghostface costume?
I do, actually.
I do like that as well.
It's a very appropriate. Randy, we see he's still alive. He gets up, just got shot in the shoulder. He's like, this is the part where the supposedly dead killer comes back for one scare.
Oh my God, this guy survived everything at this point.
Yeah, he does. He does gets shot in the head. Bill, he ain't coming back from a headshot.
He's a virgin. He admits he's a virgin too, which makes sense. He's not died.
Yeah.
Dude, when Randy's like, he's like, I never thought I'd be so happy to be a virgin. Love that. We see Dewey is still alive. So the police show up. Everyone's getting treated. When people are being brought into ambulance, we see Dewey is still alive, still breathing. So we have our survivors, Randy, Sidney, Gail, Dewey, and Sidney's dad. Less important. Those are going to be our main 4 characters pretty much for at least the next movie. I won't give anything away, but
Yep.
that's it.
That's Scream.
That is Scream. This is the 3-year anniversary. Definitely a longer episode than we've done in recent times.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about with this movie. It's also a longer movie. It's a 2-hour movie. Almost, so there's a lot to talk about.
I didn't really think it was that long, to be honest.
It doesn't feel like it.
I love these movies, though, that they have a good story and they involve so many characters throughout the community. I love it. Because I feel like Halloween does that pretty well.
Yeah.
There's a couple of movies that do that, and this is one of them. And I think they do a really good job.
All right. So, I mean, pretty much we've done nothing but praise this movie as we've talked about it. So I'll go right into my 8 out of 10. I love this movie. Absolutely love this movie. Like I said, it's not my favorite first of a horror series. I still think it's Texas Chainsaw, like we always say. But this is a great first effort, and it only is going to build on it. I think the second one's just as good. But this one, you know what this movie has, and we actually haven't touched on it at all, so I'll touch on it now in my review. Music cues.
Yeah, great music.
All the characters almost have their own music cues. Like, Dewey actually has his own song that every time Dewey shows up throughout the rest of the series, he gets a down, 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 down.
I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
It actually hits every time Dewey shows up in certain scenes, and pay attention to that as we go on. Characters are great. All of them, from minor to major, from Henry Winkler all the way to Sidney Prescott. Fantastic character work. Good kills for the most part because, like you said, they feel real. they're not just quick. Like, it feels like there's work involved.
Yeah.
It's like realistic to who the killers actually are. So yeah, I fucking love it. 8 out of 10. Throw it to you, Bri.
Yep. Nope. I'm also a fan of this movie. 8 out of 10 as well. Of all of the, first installments of the mighty horror slasher movies that we talk about, this is one of the better ones, I think. Like, not my favorite. It's still gonna always be Texas, but like this is definitely up there. It's also one of the better home invader movies.
Yeah.
That we've seen. Like, I always say, like, probably my favorite home invader movie will always be Black Christmas, but this is gonna be like, it's right there. It's like right under it. Acting, music, even like the comedy piece of like Matthew Lillard. It's definitely overacting, but it feels sweet for this movie that's totally a parody.
Yeah.
Because you have the main killer who's a bit like kind of like serious and a little bit of a badass, and then you have him who's just like a fucking like a fuck up and a joke.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it, and they parody off horror movies. I really like that, and it's just really fun watch. So 8 out of 10.
Across the board 8 as well. I would say that I found it comedic and entertaining just as much as I didn't really find it scary, but I found it very entertaining. Obviously Courtney Cox was in it, which was one of the reasons why I wanted to watch it to begin with.
Fair.
And I just got addicted to the whole series in general. It was just overall, Matthew Lillard was just hilarious, and you just really quotable, just really enjoyable, honestly. So
there we go. Now, I feel like we're probably going to need this, so I'll just grab it. The Necro coin. Who are we putting in the Necronomicon? Because there's a lot of options.
Yo, honestly, like, as much as I want to go like Henry Winkler, just because he was my favorite death in the movie, the most impactful death has got to be Drew Barrymore in the beginning, in my opinion. Like, without fail, that whole scene is iconic.
Yeah.
So I'm going her. I'm definitely not going Tatum's garage door kill.
So I was either going to... See, that's why I wasn't sure. So I was going to say Drew Barrymore, but then I was also like... I just love the whole build-up to Matthew Lillard's death with the TV. So those were my two. So what were you thinking?
Drew Barrymore. I do agree.
All right, so we don't need the coin then. We can just go Drew Barrymore because
I just think that it's just iconic. It leads right into it, and
okay.
Don't we flip a coin on that though?
I mean, because I was gonna say Drew Barrymore, so I'm okay with doing a unanimous Drew Barrymore across the board. That works for me. So, Casey, you are probably the most iconic opening kill in horror movie history. You're up there. You're at least top 5. So, you know what? Why flip a coin? We'll put you in. You're the whole thing, the phone call, the popcorn, the ambiance, the bad horror trivia. You were set up. Brian, he would have called it out. You didn't. You just answered incorrectly. So, clearly Brian would have been the better opener here. He would save Steve. Brian would save Steve.
I would have saved Steve.
He would have.
Or at least I would have complained. The killer would have killed me because of my complaints.
Yeah. Also, the fact that Drew Barrymore played an opening kill in the 90s when she was at the height of her popularity, fantastic.
Great.
Absolutely fantastic. So what better person to put in our Necronomicon than you, Casey?
Wedding singer the following
I know, right? Literally the following year. Height of her popularity. You'll be a Charlie's Angels soon enough.
You'll also go on your 50th first date.
Oh my God. What a great movie.
Okay.
I love you, Adam Sandler. Great. Especially in Pixels. Okay.
Can't believe you did that.
Sorry.
Dare you.
I love that movie. All right. So, Matt, I would say it's been a pleasure to see you next time, but you're literally going to be on the next episode.
It's true.
This is true.
So let's talk shop. Me and Brian have mentioned this before. We're going to go on what we like to call just nothing but 2022.
2022 was such an amazing year for horror movies.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be honest. Like, every streaming platform is now just spitting out a ton of horror movies, and they're more often than not really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off by doing a 2022 movie and then its prequel, actually, which was filmed and shot at the same time but released after. So if you don't know already, that means we're doing the movie X. We're going to hit the Ty West. We're going to do X. And then right after, we're going to do Pearl.
This man's building up a little bit of a resume.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I hated him because he had my least favorite part in ABCs of Death, M is for Miscarriage.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which was fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've seen these 2 movies, I'm getting a little more respect for him.
He's also like he's pumping out Maxine like next year.
Yeah, which I'm excited for.
Me too.
Because I actually really like this series.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that said, thank you for tuning in for 3 years if you had. And we are once again the final podcast
Thank
signing
you for having
off.
me on, guys. I appreciate it.
No, you're going to be on literally.
You're coming
in
right back.
Yeah. You're not going anywhere. Stay in that seat. Because we are the final podcast signing off. And we will see you next week where we shoot a porno.
Backwoods, Texas. Remind you of any movie?
I know, right? Especially in the 70s.
www.thefinalpodcast.com. We are excited to enter this new age of horror movies. We got a lot coming up. So check us out. We are now on YouTube as well. Give us a follow, give us a like, and we're excited to be reviewing these with you. See you next week.